Okay, so let's start with this new topic now. So today we are going to talk about the next maybe an hour, hour and a half on how to turn adversity into an advantage. So it may not seem easy, and I also am completely aware of the fact that when a crisis hits you, at that point in time, it is very difficult to see the positives of it. But they also say this, when it gets dark, that is the time you also see the stars. So with this backdrop, as I said, this entire content that I'm sharing with you is a part of a bigger workshop that we do. And John Maxwell is an internationally recognized leadership guru. He has written more than 70 plus books, and he's also been nominated as the top leadership guru in the world for the last 8 years. And I connected with him way back in 2016. And I've been then closely been with him through all these years. Now, there are a number of programs that we do for John Maxwell, and the content that I've created, I've taken bits and pieces of a lot of content from various of his workshops and programs that we do. And how to turn adversity into advantage, again, as I said, is also a full-fledged program that we do with organizations and for people. Now, we have done this again with a number of organizations. This is only illustrative. I could not put everything there. And every time we have been able to do that, we have been able to make changes in the lives of people purely because they wanted to make changes in their own lives. I always say this, I can only give you knowledge, right? I can only give you content. I can also partner you in a long-term engagement. But finally, it is you who has to make the change in yourself. And it is you who needs to self-lead yourself first to make that change within yourself. But the great part is I have interacted with thousands of people who have really wanted to make these changes in their lives and done so beautifully. Now, we are going to cover this in a number of sections, I would say. Firstly, we are going to redefine crisis. So crisis redefined. Then we are going to talk about leaders' role in a crisis. Then how do you battle distractions during crisis? Because during crisis, suddenly you get taken away by a lot of peripherals which seem to gain more importance because of the crisis, but which may not be that important. Then how does a crisis really reveal your character or a leader's character? It does not make your character, it reveals your character. Your character is being created even now, even when I'm not going through a crisis, right? By the choices I make. So every choice that I make builds my character, either positively or negatively. And when the chips are down, what I have created as a character comes out. It comes to the surface. Then a very important facet that we must all understand and learn about is the 5 decisions a leader must make during a crisis. Because crisis entails an action. Crisis entails a decision. It is not just looking at a crisis from a spectator and just saying all is well, all is well, all is well, or just go to God and say, God will take care of me. God will only take care of us if we take care of ourselves. And that is why we need to make certain decisions which are critical. And I love the next one which says, how a leader can flip his flop. So when you flop, how can you flip it to actually gain out of it? These are some of the areas we'll be covering. Let's first talk about what is a crisis. So various places when we went and Don went and started seeing what crisis is, the first thing he went to, he read a dictionary. And a dictionary said, crisis is a time of intense difficulty or danger. Great. Then he went back to see the core meaning of it, how this word came out from Greek. And from the Greek, it said, crisis means a decision. Also in medical science, whenever they refer to a crisis, it is a turning point. At that turning point, either things can go southwards, or they can stabilize, or they can go northwards, but it's a turning point. Crisis means, hey, we are in a critical situation. Now, when we come out of the operation theater, we will tell you what is it. So it's a turning point. And what John has done is combined all three definitions to say crisis is an intense time of difficulty, and this is critical, requiring a decision. And based on the decision that you take, that will become a turning point in your life. So in the definition, not only does he say what the crisis is, he is also indicating to us what needs to be done in a crisis, and further indicating that if we do what we need to do, it's going to result in an outcome. That's why I believe this is a very complete definition of what a crisis is. Now, one thing we must realize is that crises are quite common. The crisis that we are going through now, there have been many crises all over the world before this crisis. So crisis is nothing new. If we are living, we will be going through crisis. Every one of us, we may be in the best position today, but the fact is, all of us in our time, it's been a kind of a up and down story of every one of our life, where we went up, we had a crisis, we went up again, had a crisis. So it's been a life of wins and crisis, wins and crisis. So crisis is something that will always happen. However, when it happens to us, we tend to over-exaggerate. Oh, never before in our times anything like this will ever happen, or has happened, or will ever happen. Right? The reason is also because when it happens to somebody else, we feel it's a minor surgery. But when it's happening to us, we feel it's a major surgery. So crisis that happens to somebody else doesn't seem to be major for us, but when it happens to us, we say it's a major crisis. And the only difference between today's crisis and many such crises that have happened before is this crisis is happening to everybody. Earlier we had SARS, we had the cow disease, we had world wars, we had destructions, right, which were much more severe, and many thousand people died. But because it was happening in smaller parts of the world, the parts which were outside this never saw it as a crisis. So we have to see crisis from the right perspective. And it is the leader who has to make that known to people that good and bad times both won't last. And this too shall pass. So good times or bad times, both will come and both will go. And we must understand everything has got a time by which it will come and it will go. So that's the first mindset we must build on ourselves, to say, yes. And it's not saying, no, nothing is wrong. Yes, accept the fact there's something serious, but also do what is required to be done, decision making, turning point, and also know there's a time when we are going to come out. Now, there are some benefits of crisis. During a crisis, three things happen. The first is there's elimination of competitive boundaries. Today, there are certain pharmaceutical companies which were competitors out there in the market. Even they are collaborating in research. In your own, I see it in my condominium in Gurgaon. The entire condominium has got maybe around 700 houses. Nobody knew nobody, or there were very few people, small groups of people who knew each other before this crisis. But during the crisis, every one of us have come together. We have now got a WhatsApp group. Everybody is interacting with each other. And there is now complete openness and integration of our society like it was never before. Anything unhelpful also starts to collapse. And most of the time when boundaries collapse, that is where collaboration starts. And the third is when collaboration starts, innovation and partnership increases. So these are three major things that happen as a benefit to a crisis. Even in a family, you will see two brothers may hate each other, but the moment there's a crisis, they come together as a family. The only thing we must remember is that when the crisis has gone, we must remember these three things and ensure that these three learnings is something that we take with us even beyond a crisis, to make our life better to live. And the fourth, because of the other three, the top three, we find better and more effective solutions during the crisis. So leaders must therefore champion the potential of innovation and provide hope for a better way forward. So this is a great time for us as leaders, leaders of our family, leaders of our organizations, leaders of our time, to use this time of ours to initiate innovation and to excite people on the possibilities of what we can do and the solutions we can find, so that when we come out of it, we come out as better teams, better individuals, better families, better human beings. So the COVID-19, now somebody says, what could be the power? What is that? What are you talking about? What could be the benefits of COVID-19? From the time it started to today, one benefit is that we know by and large more about the virus than we knew in the earlier days. So that's the advantage that we have. We have also got a test which is able to detect quite accurately whether somebody has COVID or not. Right? Earlier days, the tests were taking place, were not very refined. We have developed a vaccine for the virus, and it has now been, also people have started getting vaccinated. In fact, I got vaccinated 3 days back. I had a terrible time because I got fever, body ache. I'm still recovering from it. But the fact is, vaccine has been provided. And when I was suffering, I gave a call to my doctor. I said, "Doctor, why am I suffering?" He says, "Because the vaccine is working. Right? Your antibodies are being created. That's why you're suffering." So we have developed a vaccine for it. Also, globally, the scientific community has come together, and India as such is supporting a large number of countries by shipping COVID vaccines, and somebody calls it the diplomacy. I will not call it a diplomacy. It's not a vaccine diplomacy. I will call it the vaccine humanity. So India is showing vaccine humanity to the world. So that's the great part of some positives that are happening during the coronavirus. Another great part is the pollution levels have come. So as we said, while there will be a lot of negatives, if we start looking at the positives, in any crisis, we will be able to see the positive, provided we are able to focus on it. Okay. Now, having understood crisis and knowing what crisis is, that it needs also for us to take a decision. Also, having taken a decision, we need to create it into a turning point for a better future. Let us now come to say, what is the leader's role in a crisis? And my definition of leader is not somebody who leads anybody. No. For me, a definition of a leader is anybody who can influence another human being. Now, from that context, even a child is a leader because a child can influence others. So all of us, by virtue of the fact, by how we behave, can influence people. We all are leaders. So what is our role in a crisis? Our role in a crisis, when things are looking bad, when things are seeming out of control, where people are getting nervous, stressed out, and frightened, our role is to bring hope out of chaos. We need to always talk to people, demonstrate by our behavior that there is hope beyond this crisis, and this crisis is only going to lead us to becoming better as a world, as a community of people living together. Now, for this, a leader must be able to see it in the right perspective, because how you see a thing is how you do something, and how you do something makes other people see it, and that's how they get influenced by it. So what is influence, really speaking? Is influence talk? Yes, part of it is talking, but true influence is when I start walking my talk. So when I have a perspective of hopefulness, of solution focus, of finding something better, and I start acting on that, and when people see me act on things with a positive outlook, there's a beautiful thing happens, and that is known as emotional transference. I transfer my positive emotions to people around me, and because they see me behave in a certain way and I become a role model, they start also behaving in that particular way. So that is how we need to behave in our community, in our family, in our organization today. And as we do that, we are going to influence people, and there's going to be a ripple effect of what we do. And we will touch lives of larger and larger number of people in lives. So to lead well, we must guard our perspective. We must be aware about it. We must be intentional about it. Right? Now, difference between a good leader and a bad leader. A bad leader is one. When the things go wrong, he will take actions which will make the thing even worse. He will shout at people. He'll get irritated. He will blame others. Right? He will spend more time on focusing on the problem than finding a solution. He will take more time in being reactive than being proactive. So if you have a bad leader, and if you are a bad leader, you are more likely to adversely impact the crisis. However, a good leader, by his behavior, by his perception, by his attitude, will bring steadiness and perseverance in people around him. So you need to be steady, and we need to have perseverance, persistence in our life. That is what good leaders offer in a crisis. So one thing you must remember, if you are a leader, and I said everyone who's living as a leader, right? We must understand that as a living human being, we will never have two, or we will rarely have two consecutive good days. That's what life is all about. We will have good days and we will have bad days, and then we'll have good days. Right? Crisis, the only difference between crisis is that we have now a consecutive of bad days happening that you and I can't walk away from. So if we are having a bad day, we know it's a normal day, tomorrow will be good, so let it pass. But in a crisis, we can't let it pass. We need to get into an action orientation. We need to start taking decisions. We need to do something to find solutions and make life a better place to live. So leaders should be used to rough time. If you are a leader, if you are living this world and you are going through a bad time, never get into a victim mode to say, why me? Because that question then I'm going to ask you, why not you? Right? Because every time you and me go through a crisis, we have a choice to come out of it stronger or to come out of it weaker. And every single time, what doesn't kill you will make you strong. There's an English song also, right? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Provided you have the right perspective, provided you take the right decisions, provided you act in the right manner, disadvantage. I know for myself, every single time I went through a crisis, and I've gone through many crises. In retrospect, I won't say that time I felt, oh, I have a crisis, wow, I'm feeling so good about it. No, I wasn't feeling good about it. I did what was required. In retrospect, I always said, what I learned and what I gained out of a crisis was far bigger than what the crisis gained for. Again, it depends on the perspective that you have. So with everything going on in the world right now, the challenge for us is to stay strong and steady through the duration. Persistence, resilience is what we need. So what does a good leader do first in a crisis? A good leader always thinks about his people first. In a crisis, it is always about people. How are my people taking it? Who's taking it well? How can I help those who are not taking it well? What support can I give the person? He will ask himself only one thing in context to the people around him. How can I help you? How can I serve you? How can I lift you? And how can I love you? Because a leader is always a servant leader. He is always a contributor. I love this quote somebody said. He said, or it could be a she also, what is life worth living if not to make each other's life easier to live in. So one main purpose of my life is only one. How can I make my wife's life easier to live in? How can I make my daughter's life easier to live? How can I make my son's life easier to live? How can I make my team members' life easier to live? How can I support them to have a more fruitful and fulfilled life? That is the only aim that I have. That is the only aim people have in life. Because when you see your life as a life of contribution, your fulfillment of life becomes 10 times more. Somebody again said this so beautifully. He said, if you want to be happy for an hour, go to sleep. If you want to be happy for a day, go for a picnic with your family. If you want to be happy for a month, get married. That's all. After that, you know what will happen. If you want to be happy for a year, inherit a fortune. But if you want to be happy for a lifetime, see your life as a life of contribution in life of other people. Right? So that is what he's saying. Regardless of the situation being a crisis or even normal, the first thing a leader should do is always to put his people first, always look after his people and ask those fundamental questions. How can I help? Now, some points to ponder. With what we have got, some points that we must think about. Good things come out from bad things. Now, can anybody, through his own experience, tell us about something bad that happened? Okay, let me tell you about what bad happened to me. As a senior VP of a big organization, I lost my job within 24 hours in 2012. That was the best thing that ever happened to me, because after losing my job in the corporate world, for the last 10 years, I have been living my passion and I've been living a dream life. I've never ever, in 50, I lost my job at 49, right? 42, 49. I have never been happier in those 49 years as I have been in my last 10 years. And at that point in time, there were two more people who lost their jobs. Old senior people like me. They went through the very difficult times, and today they are not living a very happy life because they did not take it well. For any one of you, can you just share something that happened to you? You don't need to have, but what did you gain out of something bad? What is something that you gained out of something that bad happened to you? Just share in the chat. You can unmute yourself.
Good morning, sir. Are you getting my voice, sir?
I can hear you, sir, very well.
Okay. See, recently, it's not happened with me, but it's happened with a very close person who was with me. He met with an accident. Are you getting me, sir?
I can hear you, please. Yes, absolutely.
So he met with the accident, and I have learned a lot. The things from that accident which met by him, but the effects of that family members on friends, on job and other issues, where I'm learning it. So
Hmm.
from bad things we can learn something good. It's like that. Okay, I am learning it. So
Right, right. Absolutely. So there's a saying, sometimes you win, sometimes you win, sometimes
lost.
you. So sometimes you win, sometimes you learn, you never lose. Right? So you only
Yeah.
lose if you don't learn. So the one of the biggest learnings happens in our
Yes, sir.
life when we go through a bad time. Right? That's the time which tells us what is our inadequacy. If a client comes back to you saying, I don't like your product, what is a good thing happening to you? You are getting to know something in your company is not working. Something in your process is wrong. Some skill is not available with some team member of yours. So you are gaining out of it and you have a chance to improve it. So good things come out from bad things. How we view things is how we do things. How many agree to this? How we see a thing is how we act on it. How many of you agree with it? And if you don't agree with it, why don't you agree? You can give an example also, anyone. How we view things is how we do things. Any example by anybody? Okay, let me give you an example. If I view things, and my thing is people, if I view people as wanting to grow, people always want to do the best thing, people want to be dedicated and give quality work, people don't want to be a failure, people are always responsible and accountable. If this is what I view people as, what will be my behavior towards people? What will it be? I'll be positive, right? I will be positive. Yes or no? I will give them more responsibility. I will respect them. I will support them. If they make a mistake, I will kind of put my energy into developing them. And when I do that, will people be more engaged or disengaged? More engaged or disengaged?
They will be engaged, sir.
More engaged. So how I view things is how we do things, and how we do things further strengthen how we view the things. Because
Okay,
if
sir.
I saw them as bad, people are bad, people are lazy, people don't want to do work, I will behave with them in a manner, I will be rude, I will keep telling them, I will shout at them. If that happens, what's going to happen? Are they going to be engaged or disengaged? Disengaged. And what will I tell myself? See, I told you, no, people were bad. So how you view things makes you do things, and how you do things further strengthen your views about your original view. One example of it, I think, we do what we see our seniors, family members, others are doing. Absolutely. There's another beautiful perspective he's given. He said, how do we do things? By seeing other senior people do it. So how we view things, how we see things are being done, who our role models are. That's why they say, choose your role models with care. Today, what's the problem? Today, our problem is our role models is people with money. Full stop. And because of that, come what may, I want to earn money. And that is put us in a situation where we are. Right? Great. So that's another thing. Albert Einstein says, in the middle of difficulties lies the opportunity. So every time there's a difficulty, we have an opportunity to improve. We have an opportunity to make adjustments. We have an opportunity to build skills. We have an opportunity to seek collaboration, support. So difficulties provide us opportunities. Only we need to be able to see it. I do this little exercise with people just to tell you, see, whatever you focus on, you will see more of it. Let me just ask all of you to just look around your room, wherever you are sitting, just look around and see everything that is blue in color, blue in color. Just look at everything around you. Let's say blue in color, blue. That's blue in color, 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 blue in color. Okay. Notice everything around you that is blue in color. Now close your eyes. Close your eyes, and when I say shout, tell me now everything that you saw red in color. Now I ask you to open your eyes and look at red. When you focus on looking at red, do you see more red? Yes or no? So whatever you focus on, you will see more of it. So if you see a problem as a problem, your life and my life is full of problems. We can't do anything about it. But if I see as a problem, as an opportunity, as a solution, as something that will help me grow, I can tell you, you will find so many options. You will be spoiled for choices. What should I improve and what should I do? So some reflection for us is, why do you think a crisis makes it easier to distinguish between a good and bad leader? Anyone on this? Why do you think a crisis makes it easier for us to distinguish between a bad leader and a good leader? Anyone, you can unmute yourself and answer this question. First question. Why do you think that is? Why does the crisis bring out good in people, and in some people it brings out the bad in people?
Sir, what do you think?
Yeah. Why do you think? Because good leaders will stay up to the end, and bad leaders will go away from you. Right? That's the example of reflection of what he or she has done. Exactly. So what happens? It is during the difficult time, when a person's real character comes out. I can act. I can put on an act when things are going well. When things are not going well, no, the true quality of who I am as a human being, that will come out every single time. And that is why it is not during the good times you can find good leaders. It is during the bad times you get to know who the good leaders are. And surprisingly, at times, during the bad times, those people shine who, when the times were good, nobody cared about. Yeah, also very well said. Seema said it so beautifully. Because of the decision and policies and temperaments they have, right? Because they will have to take a decision. Based on that, you'll get to know who a good leader or a bad leader is. Okay. So having done that, we have understood crisis redefined. We have done leaders' role in a crisis. Now, how do you battle distractions during crisis? A crisis is a distraction for a leader. Why? Because he's focusing on something. Suddenly, a crisis happens, and he would, if he's not aware of it, he will lose his sense of purpose. Why does it happen? Because your mind starts wondering. Whenever there's a crisis, you start thinking of what's going to happen. So you start thinking of the future rather than focusing on what's happening in the moment. See, if you start thinking of the future and you don't focus on what is happening in the moment, you kind of freeze because the future is unknown, uncertain. And you can always think about the worst in the future. The more you give your energy to the future, less the energy you will have available to act on in the present moment. So the mind starts wandering in the future. Second, people start feeling negative. Feeling as everything that could go wrong is going wrong. The moment you feel negative, again, the energy that you and me have is limited. Either we can deplete it, and when do we deplete it? When we have negative thoughts, it takes away energy from us. When you are, let's say, complaining, criticizing, talking badly about others, do you feel good after that? Do you feel that you are energized, or do you feel de-energized? De-energized, right? But when you talk good about somebody, when you see a great movie and talk about a great movie, when you have a great meal and talk about a great meal, when you have a fantastic conversation and you feel good about that conversation, you seem to gain energy from that. So negative thinking is normal to happen, first thing, but if it happens for too long, then it is a distraction to the leader. It distracts him from doing what he needs to do. Also, uncertain anxiety, fear of the unknown gets amplified because of the fear that you get. So the leader has to prevent his mind wandering, thinking about the future. He needs to not think about all the negatives that are happening, and he should not have anxiety, uncertain anxiety about it. So these three things are distractions. To overcome these three distractions, he should focus on three areas. The first area is, what can I do something new? Because the best part is when a crisis is there, you can try out new things. Nobody is going to tell you why you're trying new things, because this is the time that people will allow you to take any kind of new actions, which otherwise they would not have given you. So what a leader needs to do, he needs to focus on what can I try something new. Please remember, nobody can be certain what will work in a crisis. Nobody can. The only way to be certain what will work is by trying it out, by experimenting it. Right? So when we made the vaccines, did, did people just try a lot of things out and then they saw what worked? So they tried out, experimented, it's known as empirical creativity, right? Try it out, learn from it, try it out, learn from it, try it out, learn from it. And this sequence of trying, learning makes you get to a solution. So a good leader, a great leader would do something new, will start trying out, experimenting new ideas. Second, what he will do is he will identify the common goal. What is that higher goal I want to achieve? What is the common goal that we all are involved in? And he will articulate that goal in a manner that binds people around. So that's another focus area a leader must focus on. Firstly, what can we do something new? What can we change? What can we do things differently? Secondly, what is the binding factor amongst us? What is our common purpose? What can keep us together? And the third is, he's also looking for new leaders to emerge. Whom can I take support of? Because during a crisis, one leader is not enough. So what he's also looking for is trying to identify those people who are being proactive, who are coming out, taking responsibility. And when he finds people like this, he takes them on board and says, hey, come, I need your help. So to prevent those three negatives to happen, so like I always say, when you focus on the positive, it is only then the negative will go away. If you focus on the negative going away, it will never go away. So something new, common goal, and new leaders. Identifying new leaders is what a leader does during a crisis. The points to ponder: why do you think some people are focused on defending status quo during a crisis? And why do you think some people abandon the status quo? One thing for certain, status quo will not work in a crisis. But like Einstein said, he defined insanity. He said, what is insanity? Einstein defined it as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is insanity. What is status quo? Doing the same thing. What I was doing before the crisis, I continue to do it. Before the crisis of COVID, I was doing live trainings only. I was training 25 days in a month, doing live workshops, one after another, one after another, one after another. Suddenly COVID came, everything went to zero. What was my focus? My focus was, what can I do something new? I created a studio for myself. I bought this. I invested money. I bought a high-speed camera. I created a studio and I started doing trainings as good as live trainings and not doing a talking head training that most people do. I invested time in making recorded workshops. I started creating my academies, learning academies. I bought new systems from abroad. I spent more money than I had ever spent in my life. Why? Because I wanted to do something new. I had to make myself relevant for this new era. The common goal was what? What all of us was. We wanted to sit home and still learn. That was the common goal, I noticed. What could I do to make that happen is what I focused on. So weak people, scared people, people who are not confident, who believe. A lot of people say, why are you spending so much money? Do you know whether it will be successful? I said, I don't know whether it will be not successful unless I try it out. So you need to be able to try new things, break the status quo, and not defend your status quo. Because if you have the self-confidence in you, then you are a leader, nothing more. Okay, so we won't do this part of it. Let's go down to a crisis reveals the character of a leader. Any questions so far anybody has? Any questions? I am a person, I never call myself a leader. I am the biggest failure in this world. Because I failed more times than anybody in this world has. And the reason why I failed, because I have tried, I hate status quo. I get bored of status quo. So what I do, I keep trying new things. And my rate of failure is so fast that when I fail faster and faster and faster, I am able to get success because of the faster rate of failure that I have. Again, John Maxwell says this beautifully. He says, when you fall with your face up so that you can see the future and have the courage to get up again and start walking. Right? Great. So a crisis reveals the character of a leader. Any questions so far? Anybody else?
Yes, sir, Gangadharan sir has raised his hand. It's long time.
So just unmute him. Sir, you can ask your question, please.
Devraj Gangadharan sir, if you have any question, you can unmute and ask. And there is one question also in chat box, sir.
Yeah. So, so discuss shortly why some defend and some abandon in a crisis moment.
भेजा तुमने?
The people who are not confident will like to maintain the status quo. They like the comfort zone. Right? Because to get out of your comfort, what is status quo? Doing what I was always doing. आप उसमें म्यूट में नहीं है, म्यूट कर देना प्लीज.
सर मैं म्यूट पे नहीं हूँ.
नहीं, आप म्यूट पे कर दो अपने आप को, वो आप बात करो तो आ रहा है. ठीक है. Yeah, Mr. Kareem, see, those people who are not confident about themselves love to be in the comfort zone. Because once you come out of the comfort zone, what do you feel? You feel uneasy. You feel afraid. But a person who has confidence and who wants to grow gets used to this uncertainty and the idea of being afraid is nothing new to him, because he knows it is only there's a caption in Hindi which says "Dar ke aage jeet." Beyond fear is where you win, right? So people who abandon that are the people who know that if they don't get out of their comfort zone, they are never going to achieve anything big in life. So that's the reason why some people, confidence, it's the level of confidence that you have. Sometimes with different backgrounds, we are not able to have common ground. The main reason of not getting any solution, what to do. So give me a situation where you think you don't have a common ground. Seema, you can just give me a situation. I always believe you will always find a common ground. Give me a situation where you don't have a common ground. Sometimes culture from family background. Okay, yeah, it can happen. But I'm not talking about family. I'm talking like if he's a team member of mine. What is the common ground between me and my team member? That our team needs to be able to do its job proper. If we are as a team going to win, only then he will win and I will win. If the team doesn't win, if we are not able to do our work properly as a team, I'm also going to lose and you're also going to lose. So that's what you're going to take them. Right? So that is what you're looking at. The common good. Okay. Somebody else, Gangadharan sir, you have put up your hand, anything that you want to say? Okay. If nothing, we'll go ahead. A crisis reveals the character of a leader. Everyone has a bad experience, but it's what we do with this experience that defines who we become. So two people lose a job. One doesn't tell his family about it because he feels ashamed. He leaves the house every day, but he has got nowhere to go. So he sits in a restaurant for one day, comes back home. He can't tell his family again because he's feeling afraid and ashamed. Right? He again goes back. He leaves home every day at the same time, telling them that he's working. And what will a person like that do after a while? He'll get disgusted because he's not sharing it with anybody. He'll get depressed. Another person loses a job, comes back, tells his family, hey boy, I've lost my job. I need your help. Now let's sit down and let's plan. Let's do one thing. Let's first of all reduce our expenses. So that as a family, they reduce expenses. He starts looking out. The family supports him. over a period of time, he's able to get out of this. The other person doesn't share, doesn't tell his family about it. The family keeps spending as they were spending. The person is ashamed. He doesn't have he loses self-confidence. So the same situation has happened. One has taken it differently, the other has acted differently, and based on that, the outcome is different. One thing very clear, nobody likes a bad experience, right? But the fact is, either we are going up or we have fallen and we are rising up. There's no other way. It's not in my hand that I went through a bad experience. Don't blame yourself. Don't blame others. Ask yourself, if this has happened to me, it is to teach me something which will make me a better human being. What can I learn out of this? I always ask myself this question, WTOH, you can write it down, WTOH. Whenever I go through a crisis, I ask myself, WTOH, what's the opportunity here? And God bless, every time I focus on opportunities, my God, there are huge amount of opportunities that I find in the greatest challenges that I have. Few people make bad experiences, positive experiences, but those who do understand their options. You always have an option in your life. It is only that you're not searching enough. So when you go through a bad time, I challenge you to write down 10 options that you have. 10, not 1, not 2, not 3. 10 options that you have. Don't stop till you have written down 10 options. Because I promise you, the first option will be nothing so great. Second option, okay. Third option may be better. It is when you start coming to your fifth or sixth or seventh option, that is where you're going to come to something innovative. And please do remember, when you go through a bad time, don't isolate yourself. Reach out to people to find out from them, to get their inputs as to what options can you generate. Most of us do that. When I go through a bad time, I'm ashamed. So I close myself. If I close myself, don't tell anybody, how can I get the support I want? So open yourself up. There's nothing shameful of going through a bad experience. Everyone has failed. Anybody who says he has not failed, he's either God or he's a liar. As simple as that. Right? So a crisis reveals the character of a person, of a leader. Have a positive perspective doesn't mean that you deny reality. In fact, there is something known as a Stockdale paradox. What does the Stockdale paradox do? Stockdale was an admiral of the US Navy who was captured by the Vietnamese. He was there for 10 years and after that he came out, survived. So the media went to him, and when they went to him, he was coming out of the plane and he was wearing his admiral uniform, and the uniform was seeming to be 3 times the size because he had lost so much of weight because of the torture he had gone through. So the media went to him and said, Admiral, you went through such a difficult time for the last 10 years. Can you tell us, what did you learn that you want to share with us about difficult times? So the Admiral said, Gentlemen, during this most difficult time that I went through, I learned that you need to do 2 things to come out of it successfully. The first is, be able to accept the brute reality of your situation. So accept the fact that your reality is brutal. That's what they are saying. Don't hide the fact that you are in trouble. Don't hide the fact from yourself that you are in big trouble and things are not good. He said, however, having done that, the second thing that you need to do is, after being able to confront the brute reality of your situation, take every action within your command and control to come out of it. So try to do whatever you can. So don't deny it. You're not made in a crisis, you're only revealed in it. Because our choices shape our character, and a crisis simply reveals that character, because that character of ours is a result of the choices that I have made in our lives. So please be aware, every day you and me have got choices to make. And every choice that makes us will either improve us or reduce our character. It's as simple as that. I'm sitting down to have a burger. Now I'm wanting to have a third burger or maybe a second burger. The choice that I make at that point in time will either weaken my character or strengthen my character. And that is revealed during difficult times. The good news is, however, that you and me can always improve. If for some reason, and it happens with every one of us, we have made choices in the past, and I have done so, which has weakened my character, today I make a choice never to do it again. So the moment the choice that you had made before of doing something wrong, today if you decide not to do it any longer, something like smoking cigarette. I used to smoke 40 cigarettes a day. 12 years, so every time I smoked, what did it affect? My physical health. 12 years back, I stopped. From that onwards to today, do you think that impact of that cigarette smoking has reduced? And have I become healthier? The answer is yes. The same is with character. So forget about the mistakes you have made in the past. Forget about the choices you have made in the past. Start afresh today, because you and me have a chance to make a difference in our life beginning today, beginning this moment. Provided I'm ready to learn from my mistakes. That's the most important. So a crisis reveals the character of a person. Leaders can learn to shift from better for better even in the midst of a crisis, like a referee or a coach. During a football game in the middle, in the break, he will change his tactics. You and me have the right, have the chance to change ourselves whenever we want, even when we're in the middle of a crisis. That choice, that change is within our command and control. Only we need to say, put up a hand to say, yes, I'm going to change something. Adaptable leaders can, as John says, turn adversity into advantage. So adaptability is what we are looking at. I see a lot of people who say, Pawan, I'm like this only. No, I was born this way. I call a spade a spade. I speak whatever comes to my mind. And I don't want to change. I said, fair enough. I said, if you don't change, and what if you do? And it's in context of organization, because I normally work for organizations. And normally the manager has told me, yeah, this person doesn't know when to stop, In front of everybody, you'll say something which hurts everybody. So I tell him one thing, see, if you do what you do, and you're so proud of it, and you don't want to change, and you continue to do this, what is the long-term consequence of this action of yours in your professional life and your personal life? Is it positive or is it going to be negative? So one question you can ask yourself, which I ask myself every time I have a choice. Now I have a choice to do something, and I ask myself, if I take this choice and do what I'm doing now and continue to do this for the next 30 days regularly, will that make a positive impact to my life or a negative impact to my life? If the answer is negative impact, and I'm saying what? Every day. So I have a choice. I'm just giving an example. If I have a choice to go to, I'm in a party, I have a choice to take one drink, take my second drink. Now I have a choice to take my third and my fourth drink also. And I ask myself, if next 30 days I have 4 drinks every day, will that make my life better or worse? And the answer that comes to me is worse. And that is why I will stop after my second. Because what we are looking for life is not immediate gratification. We are looking for long-term gratification, not short-term gratification. Any person who can reduce short-term gratification and do things for the long-term good is likely to be more successful. So we won't again go to points to ponder. Okay, the 5 decisions leader must make during a crisis. This is very extremely important for us to be able to see 5 decisions that you and me need to make during a crisis. So what did we say crisis was? Crisis is an intense time of difficulty requiring a decision that will be a turning point. So what are the 5 decisions which will turn us either positively or negatively? Are the 5 questions you need to ask yourself to take the decision. The first decision you and me need to take is, what must be done? What should I do? What action should I take? It's not thinking, it's doing. Think, what is it that I want to act out? I need to act out. Whenever you see a successful business, someone has made a courageous decision. So, in a crisis, you need to act. You cannot think and think and think and procrastinate and again think without doing nothing. Because the moment you think, you are, what did we say? You are keeping your status quo. And keeping a status quo is not going to make you successful in a crisis. So you have to go outside your status quo. The second question you need to do is, what must be done first? Prioritize. What is the most impactful thing that I need to do now, which will give me the biggest gain? I can take small decisions, low priority, just to keep busy and feel myself good. The moment this lockdown happened, I could have wasted my time thinking of lots of small things I could do. But I asked myself just one question: which is the world best learning management system that I must pay for and get within my and buy? The biggest decision I had to make. Which is the most expensive? Which is the world best? Because I don't want second best. So I said that's the first priority decision I must, because without that I'm gone. So first thing first and last thing, not at all. Focus on the things you can control. Again, this is important. There are two things that people spend their time and energy in. A lot of people spend time and energy on thinking of what they can't control. Oh, the world is so bad. Oh, coronavirus has come. I can't meet friends. Oh, this has happened. So it's all about things I can't control. And the moment you start focusing on things you cannot control, you start losing energy. On the other hand, if you focus on what can I control, and within that area of control, what can I do, which will make the biggest impact in my life today, that is where your biggest advantage is going to come out. So second decision is priority decision. What must be done first? The third is change decision. What must be done differently? A crisis must never be experienced for a second time. So whenever I'm going through something, what can I start changing now? The third is what must be done differently, because like Einstein said, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is insanity. Unless you don't do different things, you cannot get different results. A crisis at time when your normal way of doing things will not work any longer. So you have to identify what will you do differently. Then the creative decision. What are my options? Why do I say creative? The first two, 10 options. Write down 10 options that you can have. That is where creativity comes. Creativity comes when you come down to 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. That's where the creative idea is coming. And I have seen another great thing happening when I write down 10 options. So there are 10 options. Suddenly, the most creative idea I get is when I mix my third option with my 8th option to form a 11th option. Right? So it's always in a combination of things that you come up with creative solutions. What is creativity? When you take various diversified things and combine them to form something which has never been created before. The greatest example for creativity is what? Something that got us independence. It is known as non-violent protest. the most creative set of words which were ever created by anybody. Why? Non-violence is this side of the spectrum. What is the connection between non-violence and protest? Zero. But when you created a word, when you connected two diverse ideas, created a third idea, which was the most powerful idea. So, two ideas which are diverse when created, when combined, gives us a third idea, which is creativity. Creativity is just that and nothing more. Seeing what everybody is seeing, but being able to pick up things which nobody has ever connected before and then combining them to form something. So creative thinking is not a mystical talent, it is a skill. I'm getting this noise, please somebody just put yourself on mute. There's a background noise. Yeah. So Edward de Bono.
I have muted him, sir. I have muted him.
Okay. So Edward de Bono, father of creativity, talked about this. It is a skill that can be practiced and nurtured. And I'm giving you one very simple way of doing it. Every time you're looking for option, don't stop till you come to 10 options. That itself is going to give you creative ideas. Can you kindly give us a real-time example of creative decision 2? Were you there in my last workshop? What did I do?
Today morning.
Yes.
Yeah, I was there, sir. I was there.
What is the creative thing I've done there? I've taken 5 different adult learning systems,
Okay.
combined them, and formed the 6th learning system, which incorporates every element of all these 5, which nobody has ever done.
True. Very true.
Right? So what is creativity? Creativity is taking different ideas and combining. It's a combination of different ideas when combined and interrelated and created in a manner that it forms a idea which nobody has ever done before. That's
getting it.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Right? You see the creativity. I got to get an AC this time, right? And I saw these fridges. Now refrigerators have got big screens, TV screens, right? So that's a creative idea. A TV has been incorporated, and it's not a TV, but a screen, a TV screen like has been incorporated in a refrigerator. So it's a combination of two things. But do you see a TV there? No. You are able to click in that, and without opening the fridge, you can see inside the fridge. What has somebody done? He has taken two diverse ideas, which nobody thought could be combined them, and come up with a creative idea. That is creativity. Creativity is nothing that suddenly you'll come up with something. Take any two things. Okay, let me ask you to do something creative, and think of a car. And this for everybody, right? Think of a car and think of a sack of wheat.
Think of a car and?
A sack of wheat.
Okay.
And I just thought of it. I didn't even know what I was saying, right? Now, these are two diverse things. How can you combine both these ideas and create something creative out of this? It's open to everybody. Let's see who's creative. Who's creative? I've got something already. Okay, let me start off, right? And I promise this is not planned, right? A sack. What does a sack of wheat do? It covers the entire thing. It's like it's a sack, right? Now I've taken this idea and I'm now thinking of a car, and I'm thinking of a cover of a car. So today the covers of a car that come, they only cover the top part, right? So any car cover which is there, plastic thing, you put it on top and it only covers the top of the car. It doesn't cover the bottom. Yes or no? Right? I could create a cover of a car which has a zip in the bottom, which not only covers the car but covers the wheel and also covers the bottom. to create something never anybody has created before. If I'm going for 3 months holiday, I would have covered my car, but the dirt on the tires and under, the maximum damage takes place where? Under. That is where the rusting takes place, right? But if I could put a cover there also, I've created a new idea of creating a cover which engulfs this entire thing like a sack does of a wheat of a sack of wheat is. So that's one creative idea I can come up with. Anybody else?
And that also solved the problem of the snakes getting into your car, those stuffs. Yeah.
Or damage the car. The other was a sack of wheat. So anybody think of anything? Okay, let's do one more thing. Let's take an umbrella and a comb. There's an umbrella and there's a comb. How can you take these two diverse ideas and create a third idea which is creative?
Carry something like a comb, I mean, as small as a comb, but then when you could open it up, it can look as an umbrella and you can carry it in your purse or a pouch.
Perfect. Lovely. Very well said. Absolutely. Right. So anytime you can be creative on demand, I promise you.
And maybe we even needn't have to hold it. Like a comb, we can put it on our hair and go.
Absolutely. Put it here, open it up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, so creativity is very, very exciting. You can easily be as creative as you can in your own professional life. You can be most creative. Always ask yourself this one question. I for one, I get bored very fast. So I do things which at least spend half an hour every day on learning something new and trying something creative. Right? So creative decisions is the next thing that we could do during a crisis. Support decisions. I think this is very important. Who can help me? Reach out to people who can help me. The greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest thing. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest thing. So whenever you are in trouble, ask yourself, who can support me? I told you this before. You know, normally what happens, you don't you don't ask for help. What will people think? But if you don't ask for help, how will people even know that you are in trouble? Right? So you need to be seeking help. So identify people whom you can take help with. So 5 decisions any leader and you should do when you are in a crisis, which will support you in coming out of it much stronger and much better than if you did not take this. Okay, let's go to how a leader flips his flop. I like this, the sound of this. So the first thing is optimism. Believe there's always an answer. There's always a solution in each situation. So be a solution thinker and not a problem thinker. And how do you switch that? Ask yourself that question that I gave you. What's the opportunity here? Next question you can ask is, first is, what's the opportunity here? The second is, what can I improve here? So every failure or so-called failure leads to an improvement. So optimism, always seek for solutions rather than focus on problems. Perspective determines whether I embrace failures or I am embarrassed by failures. So sometimes you win, sometimes you learn, you never lose. So be a solution thinker rather than a problem thinker. Next is responsibility. Take responsibility of what's happening in your life. Don't blame the world. Take responsibility of taking action. Nobody else will do it for you. You are the only person who can help you. Don't empower people who don't accept responsibility. Anybody who does not take responsibility is shying away from the truth of life. He's a victim. So either you can be a victim mode or you can be in a leadership mode. A victim always blames others. They do not take responsibility and accountability. We are going to take responsibility and accountability. Humility. Humility is knowing that I am good, but I can get better. So it's a teachable spirit and acceptance of getting feedback from others. and saying, I want to get better. Give me feedback. How can I get better? So humility is very important. The most valuable characteristics in a successful leader is humility. If you have humility, when you succeed, you are humbled. And when you fail, you are humbled. I don't know how far it is true, but at the look of it, Amitabh Bachchan, the way he acts when he's appreciated, he does it in a very humble way. Right? So that's the kind of mindset we must be, a teachable mindset, saying, I always want to improve. While I have the confidence that I am good, I also have a desire of always wanting to get better. And I have the humility to agree that I'm not yet the best version of myself. And I will never be till I die. Then this is another wonderful thing, collaboration. We call it a failure collaboration. Start telling people. We always talk about, in an organization, we only talk about our successes. When I was in my organization, I used to have monthly meetings. And in the monthly meeting, I would tell each team of mine to talk about one failure they had during that month and what did they learn from it. So share your failure with each other, because the moment you share your failure with each other, you will also share what you did to come out of it, and you will be able to give valuable advice to people that they don't make the mistakes you have. A lot of people say, I only learn after I make mistakes. I don't learn from other people's mistakes. I said, that's a terrible way to live. Right? I should be able to learn from other people's mistakes too. So failure collaboration allows a team to learn from one another and improve from it. So there should be no shame attached to failure. Unfortunately, in our system, right from our childhood, we have been shamed whenever we have failed. So collaboration and failure collaboration is something that we need to do as a leader. Resilience, saying goodbye to yesterday. I love the second rule, which says 24-hour rule. After a success, I will celebrate for 24 hours. After a failure, I will mourn for 24 hours. But 24 hours is all I will take, either to celebrate or mourn. After that, it's a new day. Don't get emotionally stuck by your past. I love this one. 24 hours to celebrate, 24 hours, cry for 24 hours. Oh, I had it, this happened. But after 24 hours, full stop, move forward, start learning, start moving forward. Develop tenacity and improvement. Learning lets you get back, that helps you get back and stay up. Okay, initiative. Take action and face your fears. Acknowledge fears. First, everyone is afraid. Anybody who says he's not afraid is lying. But also remember, if you do not face your fears, you are never going to make success. But see fear, tap into fear to work harder. What happens to me should not determine what happens within me. So another one question you should ask yourself daily: what is that one thing that I did, which I was afraid to do, but I still did it, and what did I learn from it? So on a scale of 1 to 5, out of this 6, give yourself marks. 1 is being lowest and 5 being highest. Which of these 5? Just give it 1 to 5. It can be 2, 3, whatever. Optimism, give yourself marks 1 to 5. Responsibility, give yourself marks 1 to 5. Humility, give yourself 1 to 5. Collaboration, give yourself 1 to 5. Resilience, give yourself 1 to 5. And initiative, give yourself 1 to 5. Then pick up 2 of them that you need to work on and put it in your calendar for at least half an hour every day to work on. till you get better. So what are your learnings from this short, sweet, but effective interaction that we have gone through? Just write it down, reflect. Let's say, whenever we go through an experience, we must reflect on it. So just reflect how to work on improving initiatives by taking initiatives. Somebody asked me this question. How do I get better? I said, by acting out to get better. He said, no, Pawan, you haven't understood my question. How do I get better? I said, by taking actions to get better. There's no other way.
Can you break that down, sir? Do you mean to say that I have to like list down what are the things that I've been not taking initiative and take each?
Yeah. So don't first list down all the places that you want to take initiatives.
Okay.
Right? Just and write down 5 things.
Okay. Out of it, we have to pick 5.
No, I said write down 5 things where you want to take initiative. You need to take initiative, but you're not doing it.
Okay.
Right. So write down. So let's say education. Second could be relationships. Third could be physical fitness, right? Physical health. Fourth could be taking a vacation, right? Fifth could be whatever. Right? So you have written 5 of them. Then ask yourself, which 2 of them, if I work on, will have the greatest impact on me in the next 6 months. So in the next 6 months, which of them, because you can't work on 5. Right? Please remember, whenever you want to make changes in your life, don't try to make 20 changes, you will fail. Because changes requires energy. Change requires 3 things. What do they require? They require attention, they require focus, and they require practice. Attention is what? Identifying what do you want to change. So let's say out of 5 you say health, I'll pick up. Let's say, right? Now you need to give attention, focus to this health on a daily basis. So focus is daily. Right? So attention is identifying that will make the biggest impact in your life. That's where you give attention. Choosing that, then giving attention to focus to that element on a daily basis for X number of hours. And having put it into your calendar, so focus is only putting into your calendar, then acting it out, practicing it, doing it. So these 3 things is what makes you change. So let's say you want physical fitness, you say, okay, I will go for a walk 30 minutes every day. Put in your calendar 30 minutes. Go and start practicing it. I promise you, you will not do it 30 minutes for 7 days. Don't even expect it. After 2 weeks, ask yourself, what are my wins? Not what didn't I do? What could I do? Let's say you were able to do thrice a week. See it as a win. From 0, you have at least come to 3. Right? Appreciate what you have been able to achieve, then take it to the next level. So that is what I meant when I said by doing it. Identify, put it into your calendar, start doing it. There's no other way.
Thank you, sir.
There's one thing that I keep saying, people do. See, I get an idea. I think about that idea. I love the idea. I see myself acting out that idea. I see it getting really difficult to implement it. I think about it failing. And I think about it and I do nothing about it. So everything is happening in the thought. Nothing is happening in the action basis. Somebody said this, life is not a spectator sport, life is a contact sport. You can't be a spectator in your life and see your life. You have to act in your life, right? You have to go and play the game. I can't be a spectator and want to be like Tendulkar. As a spectator, I can always say, hey, Tendulkar, bad shot, or Virat, bad shot. But if I want to be a cricketer, is that good enough? I'm a spectator. I need to go and play the game. So I have to get into contact. I have to get into action. The only way to learn in life is act it out. Don't think it too much.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Great. So lovely, wonderful questions. Any other question? So somebody asked for my details. So this is what my coordinates are in case somebody wants to connect with me or wants. So I'm just putting it slightly more here. So Pawan at the rate of pmconsulting.in is my email ID. My phone number is in top. My website www.pmconsulting.in. Got it? As anybody who needed to write it, please write it down. Okay, any question that we have based on this, based on the previous, anything that you have, any challenge that you have that you want to discuss. We have some time with us. We can talk for another 15, 20 minutes, easy. Any question of any kind.
Hello.
Yes, sir, please.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So sometimes I feel that rather than actual failure, we exaggerate too much what others think about it, how our image will go, how our things will go. Rather, we feel more about others' opinion than the actual thing itself. So, what do you think about it?
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. The moment you start giving too much, see, don't give too much emphasis to other people in your life. You know, I thought everybody was looking at me, but nobody cares. Everybody is so much involved in their own lives that we unnecessarily get worried that they are looking at us. So that is one thing. You're right. Many of us are afraid of what people will think. Let me tell you, people have enough problems of their own to think about you. They don't have the time for you.
But still we bother much, sir.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and that's the attitude. So that's the change of attitude that you must have. Okay, let me ask you to do a little exercise for this. So imagine that you are wanting to do something and you fail at that. And you may not, since we are in a big crowd, you can do it for yourself. Everybody can do it on your own self. Let me try for myself, let's say. Okay, one thing I want to do, and I know I can never, I will do it one day. I want to be able to look after myself more. I want to be working. I want to create a real good physique. I want to have six-pack abs, let's say. Right? Now, if I tell my family about it, I tell my friends about it. And when in my attempt to do it, I fail, let's say. What do you think people will say about it? What will people talk about?
Sir, most of them will laugh.
So what will they say?
They will say it's not right age to do.
It's not the right
age to do that thing for you.
Why is it not the right age to do? He's unnecessary talking nonsense. Never be successful. See, we told him he failed. Right? All that they are saying.
They'll simply laugh at you, sir.
Yeah, fair enough. So how does that make a material difference in my life? How does that make a difference in my life? Let me tell you, if I fail, I will laugh along with them. Don't take yourself too seriously because nobody else does. We take ourselves too seriously.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Nobody cares. You see, you should be able to laugh at your own self. If you can't laugh at your own self, then you and me can never do anything.
Yes.
The only person's opinion I am worried about or I care about is my opinion about myself.
Exactly.
Not anybody else. And because of that, I have never in my life till date done anything illegal, immoral, or hurtful to anybody in my life ever. Because that is, I'm careful about me. I'm my biggest critic in that sense. Also my biggest encourager. So the only person I want to satisfy is a person living within me who tells me what I'm doing, whether it is right or wrong. It's up to me. And all of us have has that person sitting on us. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Perfectly said.
Everyone has
Yes.
tend to at times not listen to it. If you listen to that person within you, see, you should build this ability. And I'm just trying to explain it to you very humbly. Be able to have somebody within yourself be outside and seeing what you're doing at any point in time. Noticing yourself doing whatever you are doing, because if that you can do, you will never in your life do anything wrong in life.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Great. Some people face backbiting everywhere. Is the problem with those people? I know what you're talking about. And I have gone through that experiences. See, let me tell you one thing. If people are backbiting behind your back, let me tell you, you're doing something good. Every person who is doing something good will be the only person who will be talked back behind his back. The first thing is, there is something good. There is some kind of a jealousy that is possibly there because they can't do it and you are doing it. They are feeling bad about it. First. Second, also take a hard look at yourself. Maybe what they are saying is true also. I'll tell you my mistake. In the corporate world, I was not very friendly with a lot of people. For a couple of reasons. Firstly, I can't talk small talk. I can't do small talk. Right? I can't go and say, hi, how are you? How's things going? Because for me, if I entered my office at 9 o'clock, I believed the company was paying me for every single minute from 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock to work for the company and give it results. And this was not the time for me to stop and talk to people and socialize with them. Because of which, I realized that I did not have too many friends. Now, let me see it in two ways that I suggested to you. One, were people when they are talking behind my back and making fun of me that I don't socialize and what was I giving indication to people? I was arrogant. Right? That I'm arrogant, I don't mix with people, I don't socialize, I think I'm bigger than them, I think I'm the only one doing work in that company, nobody else is. Do you think partly they were right? Shouldn't a person try to develop good relationship with the people that he's spending 12 hours with? So, in some ways, they were right. So this lesson I didn't learn at that point in time. This is what I'm learning now. That I did make mistakes in not networking, not socializing, which is a part and parcel of professional life. There's nothing wrong in it. Why? Because when I collaborate, when I socialize, that is also time when you are supporting the organization, because then you are getting closer. And when two people get closer to each other, their teams also get closer. And when they get closer, the company benefits from it. So that was one part of when I said, look within you. maybe you also, there's something that you can also change. Second, was I being wrong when I said I want to work? No, I was not. Right? So that part of me was also, and they were fairly jealous of it. But again, I needed to balance it. I should have spent more time there. So both part of it, there was a partial truth in both of it. So I think that's something that you need to do. Relationship building is very important. Networking is very important. Knowing the right people is very important. I'm not saying do anything wrong, but developing good relationships is a very important facet of professional life. Please don't run away from it. I ran away from it. I said I was being paid for the work I did. I did. But the fact is I also needed to make friends. Thank you, man. Thank you. That's what, there's always a half truth everywhere. Try to see various portions of it, make the changes that you need to make. Yeah, any other questions? Thank you. I think your questions are very important. And we learn more from questions than, this gives us the context, but the content, that real life comes from this interaction that you and me have. The next session is going to be very exciting because we are going to talk about brain science and how can we improve our brain to build up 4 competencies of ours: performance, collaboration, innovation, and agility. The 4 core competencies that are required in this era of crisis that we are living. Any other question anybody has? I'm very grateful to all of you for asking questions, and it takes a lot of courage and humility to open up and ask questions. Any other question, please? We've got time so we can ask. You can unmute yourself. Yes. Yeah, Nikhil, so where do you go from here? Should we close the session, come back at 2 o'clock?
Whatever you say, sir.
No,
if you want to close.
No, I'm available. I'm available. All I'm saying is, any other question you have, anybody else has, I would love to carry on because I would love to be of support and help to anybody.
Participants can unmute themselves and they can ask. You can ask the questions directly to the sir.
Yeah.
We have little bit of time, so you can take advantage. Sir is also here. If you have any queries, you can get it sorted out here only.
Yeah.
Today, Anuradha madam is not having any question.
Last time she had.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question. How can a leader keep a learning posture during a crisis? How can you keep yourself open to learning during a crisis?
So you are asking me or participants, sir?
Participants.
Okay.
Anyone. What do you do when? So share your experience. When you go through a crisis, how do you keep yourself open to learning?
So if we face any problem, we need to think that there are so many people in the world, like lakhs of crores of people in the world, and there are people who are facing similar problems. There might be a possibility that they might be facing problems bigger than us. So comparatively, when you think globally, you'll feel that you are a small part of the whole world, and it's your problem becomes a fraction of it. So compare it with the whole world, and it will become a small problem.
Very, very good. And very well said. And there's something very important you touched on. Very, very important. See, that's what I'm saying. That's the power of conversations. What you also must remember that any problem you are going through, somebody somewhere has gone through it before and come out of it successful. There can never be a problem you and me are facing which nobody ever in the world has not had before. Yes or no?
Exactly, sir.
So what it also means that if people in the world have had problems that similar to me, I can find a solution of it by identifying where I can find that person.
So even gods had their problems, so
Yeah,
we
yeah.
are nothing compared to them. So it's
So
fine.
let's say
No
I'm
problem.
having a relationship issue, let's say. I only need to go to Google Baba and say, how can I resolve relationship issue with my spouse, let's say.
And
And you will get inputs from thousands of hundreds, lakhs of people around the world. So please remember, there is a solution waiting for you out there for you to discover. You only need to reach out and search for it.
I would also like to add, sir, that being positive when you face the problem is also the key to solve the problem. Like, we did not to panic that where we'll find the solution from for or anything like that. First, try to be positive, try to think over it, and then think on the where you can find the solutions. So that
Absolutely.
can also help.
Right. I have a three sentence mantra which I say to myself whenever I go through a difficult time. And the three sentence mantra is, I am safe. You can write this down. I am safe. All is well. Out of this, only good will come. If I think I'm going negative, I want to now switch to a positive, right? All is well. I am safe. Out of this, only good will come. It's a switch for me to move from negativity to positive. There's something known as the power of affirmations. Louis Hay is this lady. Love yourself, heal your life. So she has a great methodology which talks about how can you convert negative thoughts to positive thoughts. And every time you create positive thoughts, it's going to impact your emotions and going to impact both your physical self and your surroundings. So having a positive thought is amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Vrinda, thank you so much. So that's why I'm saying every question you ask will invoke something which I don't even know what I'm going to talk about, right? So great. Anything else? How can you keep a learning posture during a crisis? I have another way of doing it. I say, oh God. Oh God. It's an acronym, right? OGOD. O stands for objective. I'll explain everything with this, right? O stands for objective. G stands for good. O stands for obstacles. And D stands for different. So whenever I go through a difficult time, the first thing I ask is, what is my objective here? What do I want to achieve? Right? What is my objective? What do I want to achieve? G stands for what good am I doing that I should do, that I should continue to do? What good am I doing that I should continue to do towards that objective, towards achieving that objective? So there's something good I'm doing. What is it that I should continue doing? So identifying what good I'm doing, which will help me achieve that objective. O stands for obstacles. What obstacles I'm facing, which is preventing me achieving that objective. And D is what different things should I do to overcome that obstacle? What different things should I do to overcome the obstacle? So, oh God, right? Objective, what's my objective here? What do I want to achieve? Let's take an example. Has anybody got an example of a crisis or a challenge that one is facing right now? Any challenge anybody is facing right now, we can apply this. Or I have to take it from my own life. Anybody would like to share? I'm trying to find out. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Pawan sir, I would like to contribute.
Yes, please, sir. Yes,
you
sir,
are
yes.
you are absolutely right, sir, and very precisely you have sharpened your thoughts. Like you have mentioned that, oh God, that what you have defined in your working or life methodology. So yeah, we can take the example as earlier you have pointed out that regarding maintaining the physical fitness or any relationship issue you are having, or at the workplace communication, that can be an issue, or that can be you want to go on a vacation with your family. So any problem, whatever you are facing, in that we can first think it out that what is our objective, what we want to achieve. Like for example, if I say that if I am a fatty person, so I can say that physical fitness is my objective.
Right.
And the good which I am doing for it, that I need to carve it out, that how am I doing on regular basis the morning walks, or what physical exercises I am doing, or what kind of the carving oily foods which I am preventing myself to eat. And yeah, obstacles that maybe that everywhere we find that कि घर में बच्चे भी होते हैं, तो they also prefer to have the fast food, so that is also a motivation or a kind of the temptation to you to
it's
eat.
an obstacle.
It's an obstacle, so that that need to be refrained. Because
so what will you what will you do different to overcome that obstacle?
That will be a way. Means I need to train my mind to be focused on the objective which I have thought it out, that I want my physical fitness. Or that also you need to define कि आपका BMI कितना होना चाहिए, or what weight do you want to reduce, and in how much time.
And in the different, you could say that we will get not more than 2 times a week, we will get fast food in the house. Right?
Yes,
so what will you do differently? Right now, jab man karte hain, we, whenever we feel like, we call it. No. Let's sit as a family and say, okay, we must look after health, but we also like fast food. So we have to decide only twice a week we will get it. Right? So you are not deciding how can you overcome that obstacle. When you are calling for fast food, whenever you wanted it, now you put a process to set not more than twice a week. Right?
Yeah, in the similar fashion, sir, I would request, like I have contribution. In the similar fashion, I would request the other members also of the group to kindly participate, as everyone will be having some of the other problem which they have solved in their life, and that's why they are on this group. So it will be better if there are the interactions that happen in this discussion.
That's true. That's why I'm opening this up. And Jamin has talked about COVID-19 positive. Have you become COVID-19 positive, Jamin? Are you COVID? Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. So what's your objective? So objective, what's your objective, Jamin?
Pavan sir, I want to say something.
Yeah, please.
I can write in English, but whenever I want to speak in English, I can't say anything. This is my crisis that I'm facing now. How
Okay.
how do I overcome it?
So what are you saying? Come again, please. You want to?
In fact, I can express myself
Mhm.
in English.
Mhm.
When I can write anything in English, but when I want to say something, I do not express myself.
Okay. So you want to get better in being able to express yourself in English, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your
This is
objective.
my
You want
crisis.
to, yeah. So that's your crisis. That's also your objective. Objective is to get better in being able to express yourself in English, right?
Exactly.
Okay, great. Now let's go to the good part of it. When are you able to express yourself? So when there are certain times when you can express yourself well. What
Yeah.
are those times? What are those times?
If I know the subject matter very well, or if I feel interest the matter,
Okay.
then I can express fluently. But
Okay.
if I don't feel any interest to any
Okay.
subject or any matter, then I can't say anything.
Okay. Okay. So
I
what you
can
are saying is,
panic
so what you are saying is, when you have sufficient knowledge about a subject, right?
and
You can
also have the interest.
an interest that you can really yourself. But if you don't have knowledge or interest, you you find yourself tongue tied to say anything, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
That's a so so is when you get any but get the conversation with the your interest, your so able to speak. Continue to do that and continue to do. So that is your good part of it, right? Okay. Now, what's the obstacle? Obstacle you say when you don't have interest or you don't have knowledge, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what can you do differently in a situation like that? And I connect with you so wonderfully well because I can speak very well when I'm doing any professional talk. But you put me into a social gathering, I don't know what to say. Because
That's also my
neither, yeah, so now I've got an answer to it. Now, what can I do different? What can you do different in a social gathering or in a place where you don't have interest nor do you have the knowledge? What can you do? Anybody, please give inputs. What can she do? Because it is not that she is afraid to speak in English or express herself. She doesn't know what to say because neither that interest, that topic is of interest, nor does she have knowledge. So what can she say? And she is worried that if she says something without knowledge, people will laugh at her. So she keeps quiet. So any suggestion? What can she do differently? Anyone? Anyone?
I think, sir, she should speak when she wants to ask some questions and otherwise leave it because every time speaking is not important.
Very good, very good. Who's that? Is that Niket?
Yeah.
Okay, you got it. So this is what I do in a social gathering. I ask questions about the other person. Everybody loves to talk about themselves, and I keep listening. I don't have to speak. So the one thing you can do whenever you are in a position where you don't have much knowledge is be curious and ask questions so that you can keep a conversation going. Right? And as you get involved in the conversation, you will come to areas where you have knowledge and only give your inputs in that. Otherwise, be able to be a good listener, and people love a good listener. Right? So, is that does that connect with you? Who was this? I didn't get the name.
I'm Farhana.
Okay. So, did you get some answer in that?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. Second thing I could do was that if I'm going to meet somebody, I will try to find out her interest and I will try to increase my knowledge in other areas other than my areas of interest. Because at the end of it, every one of us needs to become slightly better and better in having more knowledge. So you should be an expert in a few things, but you still must have knowledge in other areas of life too. So start reading more into those areas where you feel that you want to really increase your knowledge in. And another thing I like to tell you, see, interest comes because you don't have knowledge, you don't have interest. But the moment you start having knowledge, you will find that you start getting interested in that area also. Right? Great. I want to also Jamin. I want her to also, yeah. So Jamin is COVID-19. So Jamin, what is the outcome you want to have right now? Be healthy, right? You want to be healthy. You want to come out of this. It's not a disease; it's a virus infection. In a healthy state, mental state, and physical state. So that is what you want to do. Right now, what are you doing that is keeping you, or in the past, whenever you have become ill, what are 2 or 3 things that you have done which have helped you become happy both mentally and physically? Jamin, you can, if you can't speak, you can write. What are 2 things that you have done in the past which you can do now to keep yourself in a healthy mental and physical state? Jamin, are you there? I think she may have left. Okay, great. COVID-19 and she was here, yeah? Yes, be healthy. God bless. Okay, great. Any other questions?
Jamin, I can see, sir.
I can see, but I know maybe she can't speak. Because if she got COVID and she's attending, maybe physically she may not be feeling well, but just don't stress too much. Okay, any other questions? Okay, if no other questions, let's meet at 2 o'clock. Another fantastic bit of information and knowledge you will gain. And you will gain practical tips also. 12 practical tips on how to optimize your brain so that you are able to have a more holistic life. Right? And it is all based on neuroscience. So we'll talk about it and take it forward. Thank you so much, Vrinda. Very kind of you. And thank you all for being here in this meeting, in this interaction. I really appreciate all the wonderful work that you are doing. You're really making this world such a wonderful place to live in. And thank you so much for it. God bless, and let's meet at 2 o'clock.
Thank you, sir. Participants are requested to come online sharp at 2 o'clock.
Right. Thank you so much.
And sir's video is already uploaded in YouTube. You can go to the channel and you can see these. Sir, I'll be sending you together. All the YouTube, sir.
The earlier ones also.
Earlier one. Morning session I have uploaded in the YouTube channel, sir.
Yeah, I want the downloadable ones.
Yeah, that I will give you, sir.
Okay. Thank you so
sir.
much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye. God bless.
Thank you. Karthik?